君はヒーローになれる。
What is good, everyone, and welcome back to the Nostalgia Plus Ultra podcast. My name is Nostalgia. Joining me is As Told by Zoe. What's good, my guy?
What's up, man?
You alright, bro?
I'm tired. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day for you. Yeah, coming off a birthday party. I'll do it to you, right?
In the pool, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot. Is this mostly just family stuff?
Yeah. And you've been to a family party of mine before.
Yeah.
We bring out the loud ass Spanish music.
Facts. I did have a good time
for 6 hours. Well, today was 70s theme, so we had a little bit of disco, and then like 2 hours in, we jumped a decade, and then we were playing 80s music, which like I don't mind. I you know me, I love 80s music.
Yeah.
And then it just jumped to like modern music. I think people just gave up.
Ran out of 70s song on the playlist.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So today is another installment of the After Hours recording session.
After Hours.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to do that. Yeah. So, but also it's another installment of the What Makes a Fill in the Blank interesting series. I know like one of our second most downloaded episode is What Makes a Power System Interesting. And so why not continue to do more things with that? So maybe it can get a little more plays than the previous one. So today is what makes a protagonist interesting. But before we do that, I want to quickly give a shout out to Shogo High, the Shogo High Collective. That's Jay, Simone, Rob, Bam, Ked. I'm missing somebody I know. I think Warden's on there. Jay, I might say him twice, but you guys are dope, super cool. I sat under you guys' first like official Twitter space / podcast episode. Got to speak in the pod, and I appreciate you guys listening and even like wanting to listen to the podcast because it means a lot. You know, the both of us kind of do this for fun, and it's one of those things where we kind of just record and then put it out in the void, and then whatever happens. Honestly, it's one of those things where we just don't really look too deep into like numbers or traction or following and stuff like that, which I mean, if we were taking it more seriously we probably would, but I think it's just, you know, both of us are just having a lot of fun with it. And I think the fact that you guys first off listen, and then second of all like actually enjoy the stuff that we put out is you know, I think it's a good benchmark, and it kind of shows us that we're at least doing something correct, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you sent me the clip of you were talking, and then someone said, I apologize, I don't know the names, but
I think it's Jay.
Okay, so Jay said, yeah, I listen to y'all's podcast, y'all do a good job, and I got psyched because that's cool as hell. Like, I'm not as big into the community as you are, and it's cool that, like, you know, just someone random that we've never met is, like, just listening.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's the biggest thing where, like, well, you know me, I don't really take compliments too well anyways. So just the fact that they were like, yeah, I listened to your pod, or even the other people in the group were like, oh, like, what's your pod name? Oh, like, the name you guys have, the Nostalgia Plus Ultra is really cool. Like, they appreciated how we kind of came up with the name and all that stuff. And I think, you know, I appreciate you guys for real. And then anybody else that's listening to the podcast, that's not immediately associated with us, like friends or family or just random people that we probably don't know. If you're listening to this podcast, we thank you. So yeah, it's a little long-winded, but let's get into the topic. So when it comes to what makes a blank interesting, right? I remember if you think back to the last episode, basically I said that it's really easier as like a cop out to say, oh, what makes whatever good? Like, what makes a power system good? Like, there are good power systems, but some of them aren't interesting to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? So, same thing with protagonists. And we have 2 more episodes after this, like, lined up as far as what makes blank interesting. So, for protagonists, every person likes a different type of protagonist or is more drawn or interested in certain types of main characters and stuff like that. So, Zoe, I'll start with you. Like, what makes a protagonist interesting to you?
This does all just come down to it's subjective, right?
Yeah.
It's like I like my hero, but I don't necessarily think Deku's all that interesting. He's very much the run-of-the-mill kind of anime. Ugh, how did he know I want chicken? Type anime anime protagonist. I think I say that, but I think what makes a protagonist interesting is also the other side of basic, because like I think Light isn't a good guy, but he's an interesting protagonist. I think he's well written. Same thing with Shinji. He's not the best person ever. He's kind of he has a lot of trauma, which kind of ends up making him annoying. But again, well written. I think he's well written. I think he's interesting in that sense.
I think you're supposed to hate him, though. I think, like, we
exactly.
talked about this in the episode. Like, we're not supposed to like Shinji, like, at all.
Yeah, exactly. He's not supposed to be, like, you don't want to crack a beer with him. You know?
Exactly.
I find Mob interesting, actually, for being on the side of a little more cheery, less depressing, not a maniac, not a serial killer.
Yeah.
Not depressed little kid. He's written very well for someone who's very socially awkward, but wants to get out of his shell, even though he's wrapped up in the middle of all these psychic powered people trying to destroy the city, and he's the only one that can fight him. He also just wants to run laps with the fitness team. Exactly. and yell, fight on. Like it's at the end of the day, like, he's kind of cute, but he's interesting because the thing is he's written like his age is.
Yes.
And I think that's very interesting. You know, I think a lot of people will give me shit for this. I don't think Goku is all that interesting. He's a good protagonist in the sense of just he's hype. He's hype and he's gonna win, and I don't fault anyone for liking Dragon Ball for that reason. I think everyone needs a feel good show. You know, obviously, like, not everything needs to be a Tarantino movie or The Departed, or it's like, you know, every once in a while you just want to watch Goku kick someone's ass.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's all that interesting. Everything that made him interesting in the beginning is gone.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, Dragon Ball, the OG, is based off of Journey to the West.
Yeah.
You know, no one's a monkey anymore.
That is true.
Like, he doesn't turn into the were monkey at all. He doesn't even have a tail.
Yeah. He doesn't. Nobody does. Vegeta doesn't have his either.
Yeah, so it's like they just turned them into superpowered aliens, which could be interesting, but they're not even alien looking. They're human looking.
Yeah.
So it's just anything. And wasn't it like, I'm not the biggest Dragon Ball fan, but like, wasn't it that like if he turned into the monkey, that was a bad thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was like one of the bad things. Honestly, like, it's been so long since I've watched Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball that I really don't know. Like, I'm really not too, like, educated on the subject anymore to answer that question.
And just the fact that Akira Toriyama made something based off Journey to the West, but gave everyone crazy, insane powers. That sounds sick, but it's just not based. It's not based off of Journey to the West anymore. It just turned into what Dragon Ball is and what people like Dragon Ball for now.
Just beating niggas' ass. It's just like, I'm stronger than you. Let me beat your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with that being said, I don't dislike Goku. I think Goku's written to be liked.
Yes.
You know, like he's funny, he's goofy sometimes, but then like he gets all serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, he's not an interesting character to you. So like, this is the biggest thing I'm trying to come across with this. Like, it's mostly like a to you type situation.
Yeah.
So like, characters that are interesting to another person are not interesting to somebody else. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do agree with you there. I think there was somebody I was gonna say. Oh, Mob. I think his coming of age like dynamic, or how he's written in that regard, is what makes him an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
I think because people can like relate. A lot of people can relate. I know like some people see Mob trying to like express himself, especially like towards the end with that one girl and like the poem thing, and like him trying to like be her friend and help her out through her stuff like that. Like that, like you see stuff like that happen with a character. Like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for him, like, I was definitely drawn to Mob in that regard, because I could definitely see a lot of my own insecurities growing up in high school and middle school, like, and how that relates to Mob. So that's pretty interesting there. But for me personally, in terms of what I like in a main character, what I'm drawn to, and mostly just intelligent characters, honestly, characters that approach fights or approach any kind of conflict with some sort of a strategy, right?
So,
like, I'm not a huge... No, go
so
ahead.
you like Hajime from Dangan 2, not Makoto from Dangan 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Makoto pissed me off. Makoto pissed me off.
He's kind of annoying.
He's so annoying, bro.
Hajime,
I don't think...
Hajime's the only one in, I think, the whole series that was like, wait...
Hajime was a real deal detective.
Fucking wait, something's going on here.
Dude, exactly. And then we were also playing as a literal like detective in Dangan 3. And I didn't really mind him all that much either.
Yeah, he's in the middle, but I think even though Makoto's kind of like the face of Danganronpa,
Which
I mean, if he pops up, like when he popped, spoiler alert for the Danganronpa series.
Spoiler alert for Danganronpa series if you haven't played it.
If like when he pops up in 2, I'm like, yeah, what does
Big Kodo.
Big Kodo? That's what Berlizzi calls him.
Big Kodo.
I'm like,
that shit was crazy.
It's hype because that's fan service, but overall, yeah, Hajime's a way better character.
Yeah, because Hajime like legit is like trying to think through problems. Makoto's just like, what do I do? And it's like, dude, just think.
Kyoko's not gonna like me, bro. You're gonna die,
bro. Okay, it's random tangent. I still feel bad to this day about spoiling that for you because do you remember that?
I don't actually.
Okay, I think you were playing Dangan 1, and you were like, oh, like Kyoko just got murdered or whatever, yada yada, and I go, yeah, and then she tried to frame it on Makoto, and I thought you had got past that part.
Fuck, what is Aaron from Game Grumps? Maizano. What's her first name?
Oh, what is her name?
She's the first kill, but he's the...
Yes.
Since her last name's Maizano, he's like, I'm Italian, Maizano.
I literally was like, yeah, and she had to frame it on Makoto too. She was foul for that.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Like,
I was like,
I haven't
what?
seen it. I felt so bad because the way you were talking about it, I genuinely thought you would like got past that part, or you were already like past the trial or some shit. So... So yeah, I apologize for that. That was funny, but yeah. So like, if they approach a fight or any kind of conflict with some sort of a strategy, it doesn't have to be like thinking like 40 chess type shit, which is sometimes good, like Lelouch or Light even with stuff like that. But
yeah,
or even just like approaching a fight like trying to do new things or like understand like who you're fighting against. Like what you need to do to accomplish that, or whatever, to win the fight or whatever. Also, just like characters that learn and grow as they progress in the story. in terms of overall attitude and even like fighting as well. For as much as I love, there are two titles that I love for real. One is Blue Exorcist, and the other is Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, how I love Yu Yu Hakusho.
I haven't seen either. Fuck.
I love Yu Yu Hakusho. Okay, I'll get to Blue Exorcist in a second.
Sure.
Well, I'll start with that first, because with Blue Exorcist, Rin Okumura, from chapter, whenever he gets the Coma Sword, to the newest chapter right now, he has not changed his fighting style or his approach to any kind of fight at all. And I get, like, people who have read it, like, I get, like, oh, like, he still was trying to train and still trying to learn how to control his flame. I get that. But, like, just jumping in with a forward slash every single time there's a problem isn't going to solve it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just to get beat the fuck up later. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay. But going on to Yusuke, like, he learns new styles and techniques and stuff with the Spear Wave from Genkai, but doesn't really use it all that much. Like, he really just reverts back to him, like, how he used to beat up other punks in school.
Sure.
So, like, which is pretty funny. Or, like, he just uses the spirit gun. It's funny, like, this isn't necessarily like a spoiler or anything, but, like, he goes to train with Genkai, because obviously it's part of the story. He goes to train with Genkai, comes back, gets in a fight, and uses, like, a couple different, like, new techniques that he learned from Genkai. When I tell you that's the only time he ever used them for the rest of the time Yu Yu Hakusho runs. Like, I'm telling, like, he introduced some new shit. And I was like, oh, okay, Yusuke's about to go crazy, and then never used it again. Like, the only move that he uses with his spirit energy is the spirit gun, which, iconic. I get it.
Yeah.
Super iconic. But you have other moves to use, my guy.
Sure.
There are other things you could do to fight. Instead of just, like, I'm not going to say him winning fights are lucky, because I feel like that's not the right word to use. I think the fights that he wins are just by sheer spirit and passion. Like, there's no strategy to him. Like, he just, like, I can't, there's just certain words I just want to use, but, like, they're not the right word to use, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, the way he wins his fights, it's like, bro. Some of them are kind of annoying. But, again, Yu Yu Hakusho is my top 2, my favorite anime ever. So, like, I can love something that much and be able to criticize it. So, but yeah, then I think flawed characters, too, are cool when they're done correctly.
Yeah.
Like, if, like, a character has, like, a fatal flaw that makes them not necessarily, like, a good person, or, like, makes them, like, have certain issues that come up in the plot or stuff like that. Like, those kind of, like, flawed characters are ones that I like. So
No, yeah, I agree. I just thought of something, but we'll save it for later in the pod. I was thinking when you were talking about, like, going into fighting situations and thinking smart. It's kind of funny in Tokyo Revengers. It's a good show. I like the show.
Yep.
But like, Draken is just the best character, and he's not really the main character.
Yep.
Like Takemichi is more of a Deku, if anything.
Yeah.
But without powers or fighting skills.
Yes,
so he gets kind of annoying. Like when they're in that big fight in the junkyard.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, trying to get at people and just, like, spinning his arms and I
First
forgot
off, can we talk about how badly that was animated?
him spinning his arms?
Because I do not think he does that. I don't think he does that in the manga.
Oh,
he doesn't
no.
do that. At least, if my memory serves, he does not do that in the manga at all.
I even remember Draken doesn't hold him back. I forgot this guy's name. I liked him too. The guy that sews the jackets with the white hair.
Mitsuya.
Mitsuya. Mitsuya holds him back and he's like, "Oh, you gave us morale or something." And I'm like, "No, he didn't. He didn't do anything." He's being an
absolutely
idiot.
nothing. Yeah, no, with him, he's one of the characters too. Like when it comes to like Ren, Okumura, and Takamichi too, where it's like you've learned literally nothing. Like I'm just saying, like if I'm Takamichi, right? Look, personally speaking, like I'm not a big fighter. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I at least know how to dodge motherfucking punches, bro. I at least know how to move out of the way.
I think what makes him a little better, and in turn makes the show more enjoyable, it's just at least he learns more like how to avoid situations or how to stop some situations.
Yeah.
Like when he has to go back in time and he's like, oh, what should I do? I think that's what makes the show a little bit more entertaining, because the only time a fight's ever entertaining is when Mikey's mad or when Draken's mad.
Or Baji.
Baji too.
Yeah.
That's the only time fights are entertaining.
And you know what's crazy? Like, the lack of fighting strategy when it comes to Tokyo Revengers isn't, like, it's a turnoff for me, but it also makes sense narratively.
Yeah, they're all middle schoolers.
They're all middle schoolers, high schoolers. They're
Bro.
all teenagers.
Bro, how the fuck is Draken... Draken's supposed to be in 9th grade.
And he sounds like this.
Draken sounds like he's 45.
He sounds...
Smokes black and
He
mild.
sounds like this with a tattoo on the side of his head. Sit this one out, Takamichi. I got it.
It's like, bro, what the... Bro, he looks like he's 45 and smokes black and milds. Like, bro, it's crazy.
He's a little drippy, though.
Yeah, I like his kimono's fine. But I'm saying, like, even Baji, too. Baji looks like he's our age. Like he's 25.
Yeah.
Baji's sick.
Oh, man. But, yeah, like, it's just funny because, like, I get mad at Takamichi for not being able to even do something in a fight. But at the same time, too, like, they're all teenagers, so they just, all they know is just, like, punch really hard and kick really hard. Like, nobody, the only person that knows how to fight, like, how to fight, is Mikey. And so, which is hilarious, but, because, like, I don't know, but most people just be, you know, it's a street fight between gangs, so there's going to be a lot of punches, niggas going to be throwing objects, wrenches, pipes, all that shit, you know what I'm saying?
So we've been talking about, or like battle anime or action anime. What makes an interesting protagonist in like a slice of life or romance?
Okay, I think in a romance, I think just the overall like demeanor of the character. Like I'll take Ryuji from Toradora, right?
Yeah.
I think he's an interesting character to me because he's very much, because one of his backstory with his mom, like he's this like single parent household, has like a, not like a father issue, but just like wants to be better than his dad, and is very like uptight and like around
Uptight
to
like a fault.
To like a fault, yeah. And so like you can kind of like relate to that. At least me personally, you can relate to that in a lot of ways. Just being uptight to a fault,
Sure.
not the other familiar
Yeah.
stuff, but being uptight to a fault, and then also just when you meeting and having like these feelings towards somebody and just never acting on them ever.
Sure.
Like he's like an interesting character to me, and also, well then, there's like other characters for slice of life that have hobbies. I know you talked about that in our romance anime stuff.
What's it called? I think Gojo. I think Gojo is a good character. Even though
He's an interesting character, yes.
It pisses me off when people's like, he was boring. I was like, he's kind of real though. Like, yeah,
Kinda.
there probably is a dude who likes painting dolls.
Who's just a normal person.
Yeah, he's normal. He's respectful. He's not a dickhead. He's not horny all the time.
Right.
I mean, he is. I mean, they put that in the show for like, ooh, you know. But like, he's not. Let's get this out of the way. I know me and you have our gripes. Kazuya's a bad protagonist.
He's a bad protagonist.
He is.
He's a bad. Oh man, yeah. Random tangent. I know you saw that Mother's Basement video.
I agree.
I wish that shit came out before we started recording that episode, because I would have had
is-
way more ammunition. Because that shit is wild. You literally, I watched that episode and then I ran our episode back. He does not get better as a person the entire season.
I agree. I agree with after what the evidence that Mother's Basement brings up. I'm gonna have to agree. There's no fighting. But for the rest of the shit that he says about the show, that's why I like it. It's a shit show. It's not a good show. It's not a good show.
It's not a good show.
It's not. It's gross. It's like too over sexualized. It's 100% marketing. They market the waifus to the community.
Yeah, like Kazuya's not even on any promotional stuff for that.
It's literally what was it that they drew Mizuhara for Christmas and it says this year I'm your present. Yeah. It's literally to get dudes' attention and be like, "Oh my god, my cartoon wife."
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's interesting because it's like, dude, there's a guy out here that is actually falling for that shit, and that's weird.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, Kazuya is not an interesting character. Like, I really got turned off very early on in watching that, just because I think I don't like people that just lie for the sake of lying, or like lie because they don't want to hurt, like not lie because they don't want to hurt people's feelings, or like lie because they don't want to like come off as like not cool.
Yeah, I remember saying in the romance episode, he gets better because he saves two girls. Actually, he saves Ruka and Mizuhara.
Then the way he saved Ruka was so stupid,
super stupid. But then Mother's Basement brings it up and says he might have only saved them for selfish reasons. And then I was like, fuck, he's right. So yeah, he's just a shitty character.
He's a bad character.
You think he's is he supposed to be a self-insert of the fucking
author? I hope not.
I think I got that from the Mother's Basement video, but I'm not sure.
Oh god, I hope not. I really hope that's not. But yeah, I think as far as like romance anime goes, as far as interesting main characters, and we talked a lot about the male characters, but even the women characters in romance anime too, or even just regular anime. Like the reason why I like what is her name from Kill la Kill? What is her name? Oh my god, it's gonna make me.
I haven't seen Kill la Kill.
Jesus, okay, hold on. That's gonna make me
Ryuko?
mad now.
Am I thinking of the right anime? Ryuko?
Yes, you are. Yes, Ryuko. You're making, it's Ryuko. The reason why I like her, she's an interesting character, is because she's like very much like she's a badass for real. Like she's just very aggressive, very upfront, and like just has like a goal in mind, really trying to get after it. And it's like watching her like operate's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? So I think like for her, she's super dope. I'm trying to think of. Like, even in, like, romance anime, like, even those characters, too, they're interesting because you can kind of, one, the hobbies, and two, you can kind of, like, see and relate in a way to how they approach these mundane activities, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I forgot their names, but the main cast in Your Lie in April, I think they're all very well written. Even two of them are like tragically written, and if you're interested in tragic shit, then sure, that's interesting. Yeah. But even like the other ones, it's like this one girl is again, they're in middle school, so it's like she's growing up and she's figuring out what liking a boy even means and what she should even do, if she should even say anything, and it's very interesting. The mirror lady from Ranking of Kings, Miranjo.
Oh, yes. Is she a main character? Like, is she like the protagonist of the story? I think
she's not a protagonist.
She might get saved for antagonist. She's definitely an antagonist.
Yeah, that's a different.
We might have to save her for antagonist.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of female characters that I like. Vivi's good, but I think the story is more interesting than her.
True, and I think that's the same thing with, and people might be mad about me for me saying this, but I think it's the same thing with Violet Evergarden. Because like
Ooh.
the whole the hobbies, and two, you can kind of like see and relate in a way to how they approach these mundane activities, I guess.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
cool, it's
You know, I forgot their names, but the main cast in Your Lie in April, I think they're all very well written. Even two of them are like tragically written, and if you're interested in tragic shit, then sure, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But even like the other ones, it's like this one girl is again, they're in middle school, so it's like she's growing up and she's figuring out what liking a boy even means, and what she should even do, if she should even say anything, and it's very interesting. The mirror lady from Ranking of Kings, Miranjo.
Oh yeah,
She's-
is she a main character? Like is she like the
She-
protagonist of the story? I
she's
think
not
I
a
think
prota- she's
she
not a
might have to get
protagonist.
saved for she might get saved for antagonist. She's definitely an antagonist.
Yeah, that's a different.
We might have to save her for antagonist.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of female characters that I like.
Vivi.
Vivi's good, but I think the story is more interesting than her.
True, and I think that's the same thing with. And people might be mad about me for me saying this, but I think it's the same thing with Violet Evergarden. Because like
Ooh.
the whole purpose of the show for both those shows kind of is like the world happening around them,
Yeah.
not the world happening to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's one episode in Vivi that I thought was super, super interesting. Like, it made her character more interesting, but it kind of comes and goes. It's when her lively personality is talking to her very monotone personality in the classroom.
Yes.
I think that's awesome, and I thought that they could have tackled that a little more, maybe.
Or just done a lot more as the episodes kept going.
I feel like that part of her character is very interesting, but did they even explain? I love the show, by the way. I think it was one of the best shows of 2021. But did they even explain how she got the lively personality? Was it just an update, or whatever?
I think they do. Because remember, I think, doesn't her original, like actual body, like, get destroyed in one of the episodes? 'Cause I think they rebuilt her. I think she dies in one of the episodes, and they rebuilt her, so now she has two separate AIs.
Yeah.
And she has to leave one of them behind. Well, okay, I know we're spoiling it, but it's been a year. So,
Yeah.
it's been a year. But, like, I think she has to leave one of those personas behind in order to, like, fully complete the mission that she's destined to complete or whatever.
And
like,
I found that it's like her monotone personality wants to be hype and like happy and like all this stuff, and she's sitting there and she's sad, and her happy personality is telling her, it's like being erased, and it's telling her like you need to finish the mission and stuff like that. I found that very interesting.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that as a main character, she's very interesting. Even though what I had said about the world happening around her, not to her, but like she's a very much like a domino effect type character, to where like the world's gonna change or tweak because of what she does to it.
Yeah.
So, and like the whole issue with her being a robot and her trying to understand the meaning of being alive was like a cool like theme throughout the whole thing with her own self. And generally speaking, she, even though like it's her AI and that other like that bear AI guy was controlling some of her
Yeah.
functions, she technically approached fights and conflicts with strategy. Like, if we're being honest,
Bro, she kicked ass.
she was just randomly, because the animation on some of those fight scenes were crazy.
I know, dude. What the episode where she finds someone in like the warehouse, and he's like,
That's
"I
the
wanna
one,
fight."
yeah.
And then he shoots, and then she goes. The animation changes. Oh, that's such a good show, bro.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's it's a good show, and a great character to where you can kind of not essentially imprint yourself on it, but like you can kind of get some kind of message out of it. Like what is like being happy, what does being alive mean to you? I guess so. I would say Vivi is an interesting character to me in that regard.
You know who's an interesting female character? Both Nozomi and Mitsuho from Sunny Boy.
Yeah, I consider them protagonists. Yes, they're interesting.
Yeah, they're part of the main three.
Yeah, and then what is the guy's name? Fucking
Nagara.
Nagara. Yes, I think he's an interesting character as well.
I think just the whole show is well written.
Yeah, even though,
but I trying to spotlight more females because
yeah,
it's being male.
Super, you could just like pick random ones out of wherever with male characters, like the female ones.
And also just being male, it's just easy to relate to them.
True.
But just Nozomi is just very mysterious. Like, what's this girl's deal? Like,
yes.
And then, why does she want to be so fucking helpful all the time? And then, the scene she has with Asakaze on the cliff.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that whole scene is great.
I'm actually kind of upset they didn't really that's my obviously the show, it does this intentionally, and it leaves a lot to interpretation, and it's one of my favorite shows.
Oh,
but I'm still upset that they didn't really expound on what happened to her, at all.
But I think that's on purpose. They don't explain a lot in that show.
I know it is. It leaves a lot up to interpretation. How do they go between worlds? How do powers even manifest? And you know what I'm saying? They don't really explain it, which or explain why God looks like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't explain that.
I think we know as much as the characters. I think that's it, because I don't think the characters know either.
Yeah, which is a narrative choice, which makes a lot of sense.
Fucking War is in a different. He's an antagonist though.
He is an antagonist, but he's a weird antagonist. They don't really explain him either.
He definitely is a bad guy though.
Yeah, he definitely is.
And I like Mitsuho's character arc in the show.
Yes.
Being the stuck-up, snotty rich girl, and in the end, she's with Nagara, he did, she didn't leave him, and she's trying to help, and
Yes. I think her character development was the best out of the main group.
Also, I don't know what this says about me. I'm a very happy-go-lucky guy. I don't really stress too much about a lot of things. But it seems like the depressing shows are my favorite.
not a little change of pace.
I'm thinking back on Sunny Boy. We talked about Ava and how Ava messed me up. Sunny Boy messed me up for a week. I love this show. I think it's one of my 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal show. And then circling back to, I guess, Ava, with the main protagonist being with Asuka and Ami. Wait, is that Ami? Rei. I'm tripping. Asuka and Ami. Asuka and Rei. I'm tripping. Okay. I think Asuka is an interesting character, even though I don't like her. At all.
I think on purpose.
I think the main goal of these characters is you're not supposed to like anybody.
Yeah, so all the people online who are like, which is your favorite girl? It shouldn't be any of them.
It shouldn't be any of them. It was Misato, but she's low-key a pedophile. But we're just gonna.
It should only be Misato because she's of age, but she's fucked up. Not only the whole thing she did with Shinji, but the whole thing with her boy, and she's kind of got daddy issues, and she doesn't know how to love people. It's bro.
Yeah, there was only one redeemable character in that show, and it was Misato's boyfriend. What is his name?
I was just about to say it was Misato's boyfriend. He's the only one that.
Shit, what is his name?
I forgot, but even him, he's not even a womanizer. He just really likes Misato.
True. and he's like, he had like layers to him.
Because even blonde girl, I forgot her name. Oh my god, what's her name?
We just
I'm looking up the cast.
We watched all that Evangelion and we forgot everybody's name.
They're all Japanese names. They're hard to remember.
I'm saying, but we literally watched 25 episodes and 4 movies in 3 days.
It's
Like
Ritsuko is the blonde lady,
Oh,
and
really?
Kaji's her boyfriend.
Kaji, he was my only.
But even
I wouldn't
Ritsuko,
even consider. Yeah, go ahead.
even Ritsuko had the same problem her mom had, and they were fucking Gendo.
That's true.
And I think she fucked Gendo because her mom fucked Gendo, and she was like, "Mom, why'd you leave me?"
That's fucked. By the way,
They were all needed therapy. The show would have never happened, and the world would have never ended if they
Had all
just
of them
went to therapy.
But yeah, you know what's funny? Like, I was gonna have an episode strictly on side characters. I think we need to save some of these people, like mentally, like come back to this episode.
Sure.
And like put those in like a side characters episode. But you know, it's funny. I've been thinking about this for a minute. So I know you mentioned Deku, right? Deku. I think it's kind of hard, I guess, for me now at a certain point in my, I guess, me watching anime and reading manga, it's kind of hard to make an interesting like shonen protagonist, the one that's interesting to me, where I'm like very much drawn to. Like obviously like Asta, Deku, Yuji, Ichigo, Naruto, Luffy are all. Well, actually, you know what's funny? I think Luffy is an interesting character to me, and I'll get to him in a second. Same thing with Ichigo, but like with them, it's like they're good characters and good main characters for that specific story. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, like it's just basically, with the exception of 1 or 2, it's like the same archetype, but just change it slightly. You know what I'm saying? So like Deku and like Naruto are almost the exact same. The difference between Deku and Naruto
Deku's a little shy boy.
That, and also Deku's actually kind of smart. Like he approaches fights with strategy.
Sure.
And in that regard, like I can see he's kind of interesting to me. Not all the way where I'm like drawn to him, but I'm interested to see what he does next, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like because remember early on he had the sketchbook where he was writing all these like people's quirks and how they work and weaknesses and jotting all these notes down about how to be a hero. And then you can see that same process working. I know you haven't read the manga, so it's a little bit different. But like as you can start to see in the fights that he's having later on, like you can tell like he actually has some kind of strategy to how he's fighting. Like he thinks through battles a lot, as opposed to
Okay, so he's like learning where you're at least.
yeah. Or he's like, you know, he's already learned where I'm at currently. He's already been.
He's already learned. That's what I mean.
But like you could just like as the story progresses, like you can see he's like actually growing as he fights, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like what's weird is like with Naruto, I think Naruto's a little interesting. Again, like not to where like I'm drawn to Naruto. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is I saw a TikTok on this and I kind of agree with what the girl was saying. Basically, Naruto is like supposed to be the model, and people like really look up to him as a character because he's like a model of like hard work and dedication and like how it's really like achieving your dreams at no matter what the cost, like no matter what the naysayers think, all that shit, right? Okay. That's the theme, like hard work and dedication. That's the theme until I want to say the last quarter of the Great Ninja War arc. Like like you can try to see it because I mean, are you going to watch it at all?
I don't think so. I think
okay. So
I don't think so.
I'll just explain it because I don't think you're going to watch it. So essentially, the whole theme of Naruto, and as a show and just as him as a character, is like the theme of hard work, like working as hard as you can to achieve your goals. Right? You see it in other characters.
I'm gonna be the next Hokage.
Exactly. You see it with other characters too, like Rock Lee. And we're back. Jesus. It's two things for certain. My sinuses are going to fuck up, and this mic's not going to work halfway through the episode.
I thought you were going to say taxes.
Yeah, death and taxes, yes. Yeah, sorry about that. But as I was saying, with the Rock Lee and Gar fight, it's to make a point here. Basically, it's supposed to be a message to saying that even though you worked as hard as you could possibly work, sometimes talent beats you out. It is what it is. It happens, right? So then you kind of go through. You still see Naruto working hard, training as hard as he can to become Hokage and all this kind of stuff. Then you get to the Fourth Great Ninja War arc, right? And you're about 3/4 of the way in. Madara achieves his 6-pass sage mode, like he's fucking overpowered. Both Naruto and Sasuke technically get killed, right? Mm-hmm. In the span of an episode or two, they get like the craziest power up, and like apparently like the hard work Naruto put in was good, but it didn't necessarily to me matter, because he's already the reincarnation of one of the greatest shinobi of all time. So you see where the problem lies, right? You see where the problem lies. So there are two like high level like shinobi that can't, like the Otsutsuki clan came not from this planet. They came down, ate the chakra fruit, learned what chakra was. This being Kaguya had two sons. One of them had two more sons, Indra and Ashura, right? Those two would go on to father like a lot of the clans in Naruto today. So a lot of those big high clans are descendants of Indra and Ashura. Every generation or so, you get two reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. You get those two. You get you get Madara and not Hashirama. You get Madara and Hashirama, and then you get Naruto and Sasuke as the two reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. So when both of them end up kicking the bucket early, they have like this like out of body experience where they meet the Sage of Six Paths, who was the father of Indra and Ashura, and the Sage of Six Paths gifts them Sage Mode Chakra. If that makes sense. They come back, and now they're fucking overpowered, right?
Okay.
There was no real hard work to be done there. They just became overpowered because they were reincarnations.
That's so...
Do you see what I'm saying?
Ugh, that makes me not want to watch the show more.
I mean, I will say this though, like watching Naruto's like struggle going through and like actually working hard to achieve certain things. Cool. To achieve certain things is great. Like I enjoyed those parts of it. I'm just saying there's certain things like as far as Naruto as a character goes that I'm not necessarily interested in, if that makes sense.
Again, I'm not trying to tell people like I'm above shonen anime, because I'll sit my ass down and watch Yuji kick the fuck out of someone, and I'll be there and I'll go yay.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just something about Naruto that just doesn't click. But the reincarnation thing, it's a great segue, because I had an interesting... I want to get into video game Protagonist now.
That's fine.
What makes a silent protagonist interesting?
A silent protagonist? I think that's hard.
And this does connect to the reincarnation thing. I will nerd out in a second.
I just think... I don't know. It's hard. I think you really got to start splitting hairs with your interest level. I guess, like, overall design of the character, like how they...
Because the thing is...
How they look, what they do.
When it comes to Persona, like, when it comes to the Persona games, like, not the anime, the protagonist is silent. And the protagonist doesn't even have a real name, because they're JRPGs, you're supposed to put your own name in. Mm-hmm. So, like, Joker's canon name in the game, I guess, is is Joker. And then the protagonist in 4, you know, on the intro screen it just says hero.
Yeah.
And I think what makes just the games interesting without having with having a silent protagonist is making just the rest of the cast interesting.
Yes.
Now, Link from The Legend of Zelda, I think, is a very interesting character because of he's every single game he's like reincarnated. He's a different Link.
Yeah.
And not only is it's not just one timeline like how you explain Naruto, how it's just one timeline and then it's just these two people are reincarnated every time. It's like I don't know if you've ever seen it. The timeline splits into 3.
Yeah. It's like,
because
isn't the theory like he dies in Majora's Mask, something like that?
In Ocarina of Time, if you die, if you're playing Ocarina of Time and you get a game over, then you're starting a different timeline, and it's called the timeline where the hero dies, and then that's why all the games on that timeline are kind of dark, and like Majora's Mask is creepy, and whatever's next is. Let me look this up. Because I like Zelda a lot, but the timeline does get very...
I think it's just because you can see him as a character. I think a lot of times when you get like silent protagonists in games where it'd be like a first person or like an RPG, like you don't really see the character you're playing as. Like with Portal, like Portal 2. Like you're playing as a woman.
Yeah.
You're playing as a woman-led main character, but you have 0 lines.
Well, actually, in Portal 1, she's not interesting because she's a blank slate and she's supposed to. She's like a self-insert, basically.
Yeah.
Portal 2, she's not. She's only interesting if you delve deep. And if you find like these Easter eggs, and it's like, oh my god, because her name's Chell. And if you pass by this really old part of the lab, and you see they decorated it for Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and you see one of the project boards has Chell written on it. So it's like, oh, she has a backstory with Aperture and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't say she's like interestingly written because that's not part of the story.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the Legend of Zelda, like I said, the hero's defeated, and then it starts Link to the Past, which is again like time traveling and shit, and Link's Awakening, where it's like very hallucinogenic and shit like that. The hero's successful, then that's Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. Oh, actually, wow, the hero. Oh no, okay, because in Ocarina of Time you can time travel.
Yeah.
So if you're successful but go back to being a kid, then it starts Majora's Mask, and that's why I've told you how dark Twilight Princess can be.
Yeah, I played that.
And and that's why. So Twilight Princess is the adult version of Ocarina of Time Link if he decided to stay a kid. But if you decide to be an adult, then like the Earth changes, and there's a fucking kind of like a cataclysm, and that's why fucking Wind Waker is Earth covered in water. And it's like a bunch of shit. That's wow. Now thinking about it, is he interesting or
just
again,
the world happening around him?
Happening around him.
I don't know. It's weird. I think it's not to say that any of these characters are bad either. It's to say like they're just
I like earlier. I like Deku's not interesting, but he's not a bad character.
Right.
I'm rooting for Deku every time
he's
does
just
something.
Not interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not drawn to him. I wouldn't put him in my top whatever protagonist lists.
You know who I think is not interesting and you might find surprising? Video game.
Okay.
This guy.
You think Sora's not interesting?
He used to be. in the first game.
You gotta elaborate now.
Because he was fucking Luke Skywalker, and he was the only fucking Keyblade wielder in the entire game until the end, when it was fucking Riku, and it's like Riku takes it from him, and you're like, oh shit, why is he so special? But he gets it back, and it's like, wow. And then, dude, again, Kingdom Hearts is my favorite game series of all time. It's fucking hype. I love the combat, and I follow the story. I don't think the story is that bad. It's convoluted. I don't think it's bad, but everyone has a Keyblade now.
Literally everybody has a Keyblade now.
Yeah, and like what would make it more interesting to me is like if Sora has the Keyblade, and then Xehanort is the only other person to have a Keyblade because he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then Xehanort splits himself into a nobody and
Dark.
A Heartless.
Heartless, Jesus Christ.
It would be interesting. So there's 3 versions of him, so now there's 3 more Keyblades. That would like make it interesting.
I fucking said Hollow like it's Bleach. I'm fucking crying.
But fucking listen, I love Axel. For anyone who plays Kingdom Hearts, Axel's I think he's an awesome character. He's cool. He's like the odd man out of like the protagonist group now because he's a good guy. But at the end of Dream Drop Distance, like the whole thing is like, I'm gonna train to like get a Keyblade, and then at the end he just fucking and he has one, and the Keyblade is a sick design. Here it's a double-edged sword because I think Sora would be more interesting, even with him being a fucking dumbass, because they changed him from being like happy-go-lucky to being happy-go-stupid.
Yeah.
He would just be more interesting if like just what makes him more special. Oh my god! Not to mention, at the end of Dream Drop Distance, Sora doesn't become a Keyblade master. Riku does, because Sora fails.
But wouldn't that make it like an interesting dynamic to his character though?
So that makes it at least a little bit more interesting in this world of not interestingness.
Yes.
Because again, now it's like, okay, what makes Sora so special? Why can Sora do the shit Riku can't? I get it. Riku's more technical. It's like street smarts versus book smarts. I would assume that's why Riku's a master.
He just kind of knows how to fight. Riku would probably approach his fights strategically, or does he, or offer just like.
But to a fault, because there are some times where Riku's like, I need to retreat. That would be his strategy sometimes.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I just think, I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know, the person that's like, oh, I was just pure instinct. Like, I don't hate's a strong word when it comes to those characters. But, like, that's what I was looking for when it comes to, like, Yusuke. Yusuke wins off of pure instinct.
Oh.
Which sometimes, yes, like that is needed sometimes to fight. Like, you can be as technical and strategic as you want to be. If you don't have the instinct to do anything, 7 times out of 10 you're not going to win. You know what I'm saying? The problem is like if there's zero strategy involved and he's just going on instinct, it gets annoying when he's continuously winning fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like a good example of this. It's funny because I was talking about this before we started recording with Haikyuu. Hinata's becoming one of my favorite characters because
I can see on Twitter.
Because he's basically he's a guy he goes from straight up instinct to actually doing like strategy and like understanding his role and how he plays within the team and how they play volleyball. Because obviously, early on, like you just kind of saw him run and jump and hit the ball really hard, right? And so you're like, okay, this is going to be one of those things where like the team just suddenly doesn't realize how to play him. He just goes crazy, you know what I'm saying? And then one team finally figures him out, so now he has to like change his approach, but doesn't really change anything. He still does the same shit over and over again. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you know what I'm saying? Yeah, usually how shonen works with some characters, it's like I need to change, I need to get stronger, but like, did you learn how to fight? Is the question.
Yeah.
You just got more powers. You didn't really learn how to fight. You see what I'm saying? So like, he starts to learn also the other facets of volleyball, like receiving, like with digs and other stuff like that, understanding blocking. You know what I'm saying? So like he gets that part and like becomes an overall better volleyball player by the time the series is over. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes a character interesting to me. It's like it has to have some kind of level of growth, and I have to see some kind of like aspect of you actually learning. So yeah, in that regard, I could say Deku is an interesting character to me.
I was just about to say, you were saying that, and I was just thinking like, oh, Deku, like every season he has like a new thing that like with like air bust, like the Buster Cannon, and then he gets like the new shoes, and
yeah, you'll start to see in this new season, it's coming out in October, like he starts to learn a lot more and get more familiar with his powers, and it looks really dope when he starts learning stuff.
maybe I gave him too much shit just for being my hero, you know.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, he's
I guess I wouldn't say his personality is that interesting, because again, he's very much my friends, but he is smart.
Yes,
he is smart, and I do like that about him. Well, that's what I said in the beginning. It's not.
Yeah. I do think that
even if I don't find him interesting, I do like him.
Yes, I do think the crybaby stuff is kind of annoying. Like early on,
yes,
when he's just crying about everything. That's kind of it's really annoying.
Every episode he cries.
Yes. I'm not a fan of like overly brooding characters per se, but
Sure.
I also don't like overly zealous, just like yelling all the time characters. So like early Naruto, hated him. Early
I can't get past early Naruto. That's why I don't like
Naruto,
him.
hated him. Early Asta, hated him. Even Asta, a little bit now too. Like Asta still screams, and it's like, bro, come on. Like Hinata's kind of like that too. And like I don't know, like just the overly zealous characters can get annoying. And
Sure.
so my interest, I start to lose interest in them. But there are certain things about them in other aspects where I'm just like, okay, I like this character. I'm interested in this character. But going back to video games though, my favorite video game character ever is Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series.
But he's real.
I'm saying, but
he's realistic. I mean,
Yes.
I know the game is supposed to be realistic, but like, just written as he's like well written.
yes,
He's cool.
He's also like kind of a flawed character in a way too. Like,
Yes.
kind of a tough backstory, has an issue with like keeping people close to him and trusting people. Like in Thief's End, like we're literally like he just doesn't tell his wife that he's on an expedition because he doesn't want her to get involved and shit. You know what I'm saying? Or like, and having that problem with the only person he really trusts is Sully. So like he just really doesn't like let people in and stuff like that. And he's just very witty. He's very funny. So like I think it's just one of those things where I'm just more interested in those kind of like characters video game wise.
Going away from video games and anime. You know what I think this was so far in where I'm at in the show. I think this character is well written, but I hate him as a protagonist because everything he does pisses me off. Have you seen The Boys?
Yes, kind of. I've seen most of season 1.
I hate Billy Butcher.
Really?
I hate him. He's an asshole all the time, and I think he's supposed to be an asshole. I don't think you're supposed to like him, if I'm being dead ass. He's a badass, and like he fights cool, like all the shit he does is cool. But like where I'm at in season 2, he punched Huey, and then tells Huey something that he didn't know. Okay, so Huey stops him. Huey stops him from doing something.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you because what Billy says is a spoiler.
Okay.
And then Huey stops him from doing something, and then Billy comes out and tells him what's going on.
Yes.
And then Huey probably thinks to himself, I probably should have handled that differently.
Yes.
And then at the end of the episode, Billy punches him, but it's like, why would you punch him? You didn't tell him anything until after he stopped you.
Yes.
You dickhead. And he lied to Mother's Milk and was like, oh yeah, Frenchie's not here. When he recruited Frenchie already.
Yeah.
It's like, he's super selfish. He just does whatever the fuck he wants to get somewhere. But I think that's on purpose. I think it's like, you know, the show's very political. And like, obviously, you're not supposed to like the superheroes.
Yeah.
But I think Billy Butcher, even though I don't like him, I think he's a well-written character because it brings up he's on the side of justice, but is he? It's like he's kind of only doing this because of his whole thing with his wife.
Yes.
He's not really doing it. He only recruited Huey because Huey's A-Train fucking murked Huey's girlfriend.
Can we just say that meme of A-Train is actually fucking hilarious, by the way?
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But fucking A-Train murks Huey's girlfriend, and he goes, oh, I can use him. It's not, like he doesn't really care about Huey. Yeah. At least where I'm at in season 2.
So, like, yeah, like you don't like him, but you are interested in his character.
Yes. Because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be written as an asshole. Oh, and again, to go back to the whole political thing, it's like if you are more liberal, obviously you're not going to like the superheroes. But you can't really root for Billy either, even though I watch The Boys. I don't really watch it for the politics. I just like it. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch it for the politics, and you kind of got to decide or think to yourself, it's like, damn, this guy's on my side, but he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's a flawed character.
He's a flawed character.
You gotta be interested in flawed characters. You gotta love flawed characters.
But I just fucking hate him. Like, he's just a dick for no reason. And like Huey's too not up his own ass. That's the wrong choice of words. Huey is too like he's out of his league with these guys. And he's trying to do something, and that kind of gets annoying, but Huey's the guy you want to root for.
Yeah. I don't know, cuz I just don't I'm definitely more interested in Billy Butcher than I am in Huey as a character.
Yeah, because he's a little more mysterious, but I just think Huey is the audience insert.
Yeah, just like
because Billy is all mystery and then being a dickhead about it.
Yeah, I think Huey is essentially supposed to be that character where it's like any random person that lives that, like, if this was a real scenario, Huey's like just your everyday person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like this could potentially happen to. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's supposed to represent like a random citizen in America, where like something happens to him and he's way out of his league, has no powers, nothing he really brings to the table in that kind of regard. He's just kind of there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit! Starlight's interesting. I think Starlight's very interesting.
Yes,
Annie.
I think her introduction was really good in the early parts, and then like. Yeah, I wouldn't even. I don't know. If we do the antagonist episode, are we going to talk about the heroes themselves, the antagonists? I know with Homelander, obviously, but like some of the other characters, like we consider like the Deep an antagonist.
Yeah. I mean,
we could talk about it in the next episode, but
from where I am in the show, he's definitely an antagonist, but he is also very interesting.
Yeah.
He's got his own fucking Pandora's box.
Yeah, I'm not that far. I need to just kind of watch through. I don't know. Like once I got into this kick of like sports anime now, and it's been everything. Like I'm slamming through Ace of Diamond, who, by the way, is kind of the similar, overly zealous main character that yells a lot, which gets on my nerves. But Sawamura is an interesting character to me because you can kind of see his growth and his passion for the game of baseball, and 2, to get better. Like, basically the premise is like he's a lefty pitcher with a moving fastball that's not very fast. So his control is not great, but like it throws off the timing of batters, and he has a kind of like he's not a junk pitcher, but like it's really hard for batters to hit his stuff, if that makes sense. Basically, the entire like first season is him like getting experience like pitching against real comp, and 2, like actually learning how to be a better pitcher, like getting his form correct. Like it's been like 10 episodes on him learning his form, like getting his form better. And you can see like he makes not crazy strides, but he starts to make strides to being a better pitcher, and he has a lot of wins. Has a good bit of like takes a good few L's. Some where you're just like, well, he kind of took a couple steps back there, which is kind of annoying, just to kind of draw the story out a little bit longer. Like it's be mistakes that it'll be like episode 40. He's making a mistake in episode 40 that he would have made in episode 10. It's like, come on.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
In that regard, I think it's more of like a writing thing than like a character thing, which might be a little bit of both. But yeah, so like once I kind of get through my sports anime fix, I'll probably get back on the boys. But man, we kind of blew through this episode.
Yeah, it felt quick. We had a lot to talk about.
We did. But like, so to clarify, really, I know like we kind of bounced around a lot, and I don't know if this is really going to come out to where we're like rambling or to make things clear and concise, but to kind of put everything in for the both of us, I guess I'm assuming for you too, for the both of us, it doesn't necessarily matter if we like the character, if we like, oh, this guy's great, oh, this guy's an asshole, we hate this guy, we love this guy or this girl, but we're interested in them, if that makes sense. Like we want to see what this character does when they come on screen. When we flip the page, what is this character going to do? What are they going to say? Like things how they affect the story. That's like what interest is for the both of us. Sure. So even though there are certain characters that we don't like obviously with a character like Shinji from Ava, right?
Yeah.
He's an interesting character because of his trauma, but I actually hate Shinji. I hate Shinji as a character. But I'm interested in him because of the trauma and like what he, means to the story of Ava, if that makes sense.
Shinji is to Ava what Billy Butcher is to the boys.
For you, it's like I hate this guy, but I want to see what he does next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically just what we're kind of drawn to, and then also it is a little bit of a character that we like. You got any characters you just hate, like they're not interesting and you just don't like?
I guess that's hard to bring up because it's like, main character from School Days.
Oh, okay, obviously
he's not interesting, and he's a dickhead.
Yeah, he's a very bland character.
But he's an asshole.
Yeah. Which is like, funny because you didn't know he was an asshole until like episode 5.
Yeah, but I'm glad what happened. I'm not going to spoil this one because I feel like people should watch it for the culture. Even though every episode made me feel like shit. Every single episode made me feel like shit. But I'm glad what happened at the end. Genuinely.
Wow, that's crazy.
He's a dick.
He's a bad person. I didn't know you would say that. I don't know. I didn't know you thought he was. I don't know you were dancing on a man's grave like that. Crazy. But
guy, he's a fucking an asshole.
Yeah, he's a bad person.
What? I'm trying to think of.
I know we already talked about Kazuya, but
Kazuya sucks.
I got one though.
What's up?
It's Kirito from SAO. I don't think he's
interesting.
I don't think he's an interesting character, and I don't like him as a character. I don't think he's interesting, and I don't think he's. I don't like him as a character either.
He's created just to be a self-insert for like incels, right?
Kinda, yeah. We're like those people the shut-ins that are,
shut-ins. Maybe not incels.
Not incels.
He's not like.
I know like that word gets thrown around when people talk about Kirito. But I'm not going to go that far. But I think like the shut-ins that are, that play a lot of video games, don't really interact with humans too much outside of
the type of person who looks at him and goes, he's so me, and then proceeds to stay indoors, not talk to women, and play video games.
That part, yes. And I think how they did his character was so annoying.
He's
like
he's too cool.
yeah, he's like, give me some kind of flaw in his character, something.
Like he just shows up and he has 2 swords and he's the greatest swordsman of all
He can
time.
just break the game. He can break the confines of SAO because he was one of the early test subjects. He tried the beta version of the game out. It's like, oh, he can go into the code. Like, he doesn't really have a moment in that whole run of the show where you're like, oh, I see a chink in the armor, or like, oh, like I can tell like he has some issues here. The only real issue, I mean, I could be just completely overstating the show because I haven't watched it in several years. The only real issue that I can remember that actually even comes up at all is the fact that he almost got a girlfriend in the game, and it turned out to be his sister. Obviously, Asuna, at the end of like the first like season or whatever, is like his girlfriend, 100%. But then he gets another love interest. He gets another love interest in the Alfheim arc, and it's his sister.
He didn't know that. Give him the benefit of the doubt as a character. He didn't know.
True, but like they have a whole situation where both of them find out, and it's very awkward.
Yes.
And it's like, hold on, bro. But like that's like the only real like situation where like he gets tested as a character. Like he just kind of he shows up, he loses in the Alfheim arc, and then that one child that they end up having, who's like a glitch in the system, ends up helping him out, and it's just I hate him as a character.
You know what's funny is like half of the things you said about Kirito, or maybe most of the things you said about Kirito, you could kind of say about Goku. Like, he is the man. He is, like, you know he's going to win. But what makes it different is that Goku is charismatic.
Yes.
Goku is cool. He's funny. He's, like, kind of witty sometimes. He, like, I don't know. Kirito's just there. He's, like, blank.
But, like, I think Goku's an interesting character, to me at least. Because I think it's not even like the power-up stuff. It's, one, he's charismatic, he's funny, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you root for him to win the fights that he's in. But he's, he makes some sacrifices and ends up, like, losing and and actually cares about the people he's fighting for, and he's very protective over his family and friends. But
again, not a bad character. He's just not interesting to me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
The only time I ever saw him get his ass beat in recent years was Broly.
Oh, you didn't watch Super with Jiren? Jiren was beating the brakes off him early.
I thought Broly was after that.
I was saying, so it was Dragon Ball Super, and he like fought Jiren. Like, Goku is a popular character when people are legitimately having like, there were bars streaming the Goku versus Jiren fight. Like, you could go to the bar with these huge jumbotrons, and they're playing the Jiren versus Goku fight. That's how you know shit is crazy. Like, I know I rag on Dragon Ball a lot, and I slander a lot because I think it's funny, but you cannot understate how popular that shit is.
Yeah, but, of course.
Like Goku takes some L's. I know, obviously, like it's written in a way where Goku just gets stronger than the opponent he's battling in order to win fights. Like, obviously, like Ultra Instinct came out of nowhere, but if you think within context, yes, Ultra Instinct came out of nowhere and he had to beat Jiren, but he needed the help of Vegeta and Golden Frieza to beat Jiren. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those. It's just kind of one of those things. But
maybe I only remember the Broly fight because it's from the point of view of Broly.
Oh yeah,
that's the one I'm thinking.
Beating the shit out of that.
Yeah, he fucking punched him through a mountain.
The POV where Broly's beating the shit out of Goku was crazy.
That's a sick scene.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't know. I think Goku is interesting to me. I just think his obviously the thing that's kind of like annoying is he more so grows in power and not in like technique and fighting strategy. If
Sure.
that makes sense. It's always
Sure.
like I become another version of Super Saiyan, not I get better with my hands.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I haven't read Super, so I could be wrong about that, and he could have just, gotten to that point. But from what I watched, I remember Goku was nice with the hands, and then he gets Super Saiyan, and like the hands are still the same, but he's just more powerful. Yes. So like I guess I don't know. People might be like I might be nitpicking, but
I think it says something when they announced Superhero, the movie, and people were just hyped that Gohan's fighting again.
yeah, because Gohan took a huge backseat for a while.
Yeah, because they had to. I feel like people were hype about that because what else can you do with Goku? So like maybe Goku's not interesting, but it's because of where they've taken Dragon Ball. Again, like I said in the beginning, he's not the monkey anymore. He's just the strongest man ever. So like whenever they do a big movie like that, they need to bring back, oh look, Gohan's here. So yeah, now there's a reason to watch it. It's just not another Goku going crazy, strong, forever movie.
I guess in that logic that makes sense. That's why you wouldn't think he's interesting. That makes sense. Because it's kind of like a situation where you think he's like played out now.
Yeah, but like again, I mean, I say I like him enough. I don't watch Dragon Ball or read it. I like him enough. He's like not a bad character, I don't think.
Yeah, you're just not.
He's easy to root for. He's easy to like. Again, like I said, he's funny.
He's just not interesting to you. Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. So moving, forward into the next few episodes, it'll be. Well, probably next up will be what makes what makes an antagonist interesting, and then what makes a side character interesting. I did have another idea of what makes world building interesting. Could be a thought for another episode, maybe. We can talk about
a lot of video games for that one, at least on my docket.
Yeah. So we try to maybe the whole month of August is those types of episodes. Also, at the day this comes out, the day which should be a Tuesday, the very next day, Wednesday, we have our first YouTube video dropping. Our reaction video to Neon Neko Sugar Girls. Yes,
Episode 1.
Yes, the trailer for it should be dropping. Should have dropped Monday. A little teaser thing for it should drop Monday, and then this episode of the podcast is on Tuesday, and then Wednesday that video should be up on the YouTube channel. So go check that out. Our first kind of attempt at commentary or reaction videos and stuff like that. I hope you guys like it. We kind of want to do more of them. We have a lot more footage of that if you want to, see more of that. But this is coming down the pipeline. Zoe, do you have any music recommendations for today's episode?
Boy, do I. This is very. This is gonna be a hard sell.
Oh Lord.
I'm not a huge fan of hyperpop, but there's an artist called Deaton Chris Anthony, and his latest album is he kind of went more hyperpop than usual. He's a very weird artist, just in general. Like his first album is one of my favorite albums, but there's just random tracks or like an outro to one of his songs where he's just like crying and he's saying I'm sorry, and then he starts screaming like bloody murder.
Oh Lord.
It's very odd. And then his second album is just every song's a different version of house music from different areas of America, because he just got really into house music.
That's a pretty interesting concept, though. That's a pretty interesting concept.
And it's a good album. It's interesting. And then this album, he has like there's a song called "Behind the Lockers" with Hunter, So it's hyperpop. And he's an older artist. I'm pretty sure he's either around our age or a little older. But since hyperpop, there's just a lot of immaturity in hyperpop. I think hyperpop's really annoying. Fucking, we broke up on PictoChat crying on my DS. Like, that's the wackest shit I've ever heard on my life.
No way, bro.
That
That's a
was
real
huge on
line?
It was big on TikTok.
Oh God.
It's whack as fuck. So he takes on a little, like, he writes about high school and like kids and shit, but I don't know. I think his production's very interesting. So Sid the Kid, that album by Deet and Chris Anthony. I not every song on it is great. There are a lot of good songs on it, and I think it's just interesting if you're into that kind of stuff. And for a single, What Does That Make Me by Sad Night Dynamite, they always deliver. That group is fucking sick.
Nice. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. You kind of put me onto them, and I got a few songs on the playlist from them. I can't remember the exact names of them, but they're in there. For me, I got a few actually because I've been listening to a lot. What do I start with? I'm going to start with the fact that the 1975 put out yet another banger of a single. Banger of a single. Happiness is so cool. The visual from Happiness is super dope as well. I'm a fan of that. So they're kind of going back to like the two earlier like 1975 albums, and I'm definitely here for it.
It's just every time they drop an album, you can see how much they've grown. Because there's the solo on Happiness, like the guitar solo.
Yes.
You can tell it's acoustic, but he like auto-tuned it.
Yeah.
It's sick. It's super sick.
What else? Twin Flame, Kay Tronada and Anderson .Paak. It's putting two cheat codes together. It's forming one huge, amazing song. I need a full project from both of them like together. That'd be really dope. But Twin Flame is super cool. What was one more? Oh, I got two more. One is, what is the guy's name? Hold on. I tweeted this out earlier. Oh man, what is the guy's name? It's a house album. I know you were talking about house earlier.
Ooh,
it's a house album. It's called.
I was listening to it because of you.
It's called "House Music Will Not Be Gentrified," which fitting title.
By Faraz. It's like F-U-R-O-Z-H.
Yeah, Faraz. Very fitting title. And also the album's really good. It's definitely
pretty good, yeah.
A serious, like, legit. If you're looking, like, I know Beyonce's album's great. I understand that. It's a dance album. Drake's album as an attempted house is not that good. You know what I'm saying? There are a couple songs that I like personally, but as a house album, it's not good. This is legitimately a house album. And it sounds really good. So I think
by an artist who does
house for real. Yes. So that's a good one. And then the last one is, I don't know if you might get this reference from me, but maybe not. I don't know. This guy Ginger Root with the EP City Slicker. Okay.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Ginger Root's good.
Yeah, he's basically the Japanese version of Boy Pablo without being a super simp.
Yeah.
Essentially, like he makes very much like poppy alternative music, and it kind of like, and he kind of gears it towards like the city pop era of Japanese culture, in a lot of his visuals and his just like the overall approach to music making, and even like the cover art right here with City Slicker. Like he's kind of in like a Japanese city pop type like pose, and like the background's kind of the same way that you would see a lot of the artists, you know, that we put in our our playlists for city pop. So yeah, I got those four recs for you. But got any closing thoughts, Zoe, on the episode?
If I shit on your favorite character, don't attack me. Billy Butcher's an asshole.
It's all subjective.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just opinions, and I hope we made it a little interesting to listen to, like funny. We cracked some jokes.
Yeah, I hope so. And also, if you like want to give us like what makes a main character interesting to you, please let us know. We've been starved for more interaction on Twitter. I had a Haikyuu tweet blow up for some weird reason, but yeah. So please just tweet us or send us a message on Instagram. Be in the comments. Let us know what's going on. Even the YouTube comments too. Let us know what's up. We would love to kind of chat and talk with you guys. Again, big shout out to the whole Black anime Twitter community. Big shout out to Analytical. I didn't shout you guys out in the beginning of the episode, but you guys are dope too. I haven't been able to sit in on most of you guys' podcasts because of the fact that I'm in class on Tuesday nights. So usually you guys are doing your Twitter space while I'm in class, so I can't really listen to y'all. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to Shoko High and Jay especially for being a listener on the pod. So I think that's everything for us. We'll see you guys next time. I've been Nostalgia, as told by Zoe. Peace.
Peace.